Right. Good morning. Friday morning, fairly early. For those of you that wake up at 4 a.m. to get your day started, to do exercise and eat well and focus and meditate, we're already 4 hours into your day. But for the rest of us that are just starting our Friday, good morning. Is a beautiful day. Don't forget, this weekend is Father's Day. And since it's Father's Day weekend, I decided to talk about lessons learned from our dads. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Lessons learned from our dads. So I'm going to share a link to an article that I got that I'm going to be utilizing today into our comment section. So there you go. There's the article link, as well as, and I'm going to be adding this now, the link to the YouTube channel. So I'm going to add the link to my YouTube channel where all these videos are available. And that way you can check out all the videos that we do. We do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday usually. Sometimes I'll miss a day, but that's the usual schedule. So you can check that out for yourself. Okay. So in honor of dads, this is from success.com and it's by the staff. It says, whether it's life, relationships, or business, the best advice in the world can sometimes come from dear old dad. In honor of Father's Day this coming Sunday, we asked a few of our editors and favorite entrepreneurs from the Young Entrepreneur Council to share the best advice they ever received from their fathers or father figures. And the results are inspiring. Here's to you, Dad. Excuse me. Here we go. Number one. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. From the time I was in junior high, this is from Brittany Hodak, says, from the time I was in junior high, my dad would often remind me of these wise words. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. The advice has served me well ever since, and it's especially applicable to being an entrepreneur. Zinepack is, the organization or that she's involved in, says would be much less successful today if we took the time to ask for permission before trying new things. So if you feel something inside that you want to try, you want to do, it's not gonna, it's not something that's gonna create devastation and chaos, but it's something you feel is gonna be a good idea. Do it, basically, is what the advice is telling you. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. Usually it's the way I've heard it is it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? So there you go. That's number one. Number two is from Doug Bend from the Bend Law Group PC. It says, under promise, over deliver. My father grew up on a farm in a small rural community where you build a reputation in either direction very quickly. He taught me that you are much better off under promising and over delivering than not meeting people's expectations. Most of us do business in very small business communities and would also be best served by erring on the side of exceeding expectations rather than not meeting them. Basically boils down to this. If you promise 10, people are expecting 10. And if somehow you deliver 9, you've fallen short of their expectations. So the under promise, over deliver is you promise 10 and you give 11. And we're talking not necessarily talking about a number. Could be the effort that you put forth. It could be the end result that you deliver that is more than was expected by the client. So under promise, over deliver. That's number two. Number three, just go for it. This kind of ties into number one. Says this is from Josh Ellis, the editor in chief from Success Magazine. Says this piece of advice from my dad applied originally to little girls at the roller skating rink. I had a crush on a girl in my class, but like a lot of awkward 8-year-olds, I was terrified of asking her to skate with me. Then my dad told me to just ask. Just ask her because, quote, the worst thing she can say is no. And she might say yes, unquote. That advice has stuck with me. And I've found that it applies in so many aspects of life. You can't be afraid to pursue what you want. In retrospect, I don't remember what that little girl said, when I asked her to skate. But there have been so many times since then when just being bold enough to ask has led to great things in my life. And this is also one that ties into the it depends who you talk to, right? 3, 5, 8 seconds of courage, digging deep. Like I say, we all have a core of strength within us. Tapping into that core of strength for those 3 seconds of courage, 3 seconds of courage that it takes you to ask, to just go for it, to approach somebody. So just go for it, and being bold enough to ask. Again, the quote: the worst thing that she could say is no, and she might say yes, right? But it definitely won't be a yes if you don't ask. So number 3, the advice was just go for it. Number 4, Thomas Cullen from Launchpad Lab. Be compassionate. Really get to know your customers and treat them with compassion. It says, my dad really knows his customers. He goes to their houses. He has them over when they're alone over the holidays. He visits them in the hospital. He makes a difference in people's lives because he really knows them. His business benefits from his compassion, but helping people succeed is easily the best part. So be compassionate. Love on your people, right? Love on your clients. Love on your relationships. That was number 4. Number 5, where there is chaos, there is possibility. My dad, a serial entrepreneur himself, was always on the lookout for new business adventures. This was from Sharam Fuladgar Mercer from Air PR. Says, he always told me that where there is chaos, there is great possibility. Innovation and opportunity can reveal themselves in places where clarity is lacking. Sharpen your focus and tackle a piece of the chaos, because everyone naturally seeks order. What does that mean? Well, like, for example, water. Which way does water flow? The path of least resistance. It's not going to try and go around the hardest, try and go through the hardest way to get through. No, it's going to bump into some resistance and go, okay, it's easier this way, right? It says everyone naturally seeks order. It's pretty much the path of least resistance when you have order. Chaos is, disruptive, right? So where there's chaos, there's possibility. That's number 5. And the article we're reading about today is 10 lessons we learned from our dads of course, in honor of Father's Day this Sunday. So the link is in the comments section. Number 6, perception is 90% of reality. This is from Shelby Scrack, Director of Digital Content at Success.com. It says, my dad was full of business witticisms that didn't make sense to my teenage self, but are perfectly clear now. This one about perception as reality still keeps me thinking, though. Did he mean that what others perceive about you will become your reality? But that means worrying a whole lot about people's snap judgments and perceptions that may or may not be true. Did he mean that what you perceive about a situation but don't necessarily know is the reality? To trust your instincts? Or did he mean what you perceive about yourself and think about will become your reality? I wish I could ask him, but just as veiled as the wisdom of this saying is, would probably be his answer. Hey, Daddy, did you mean this, or this? The answer is yes, right? So it's like perception is 90% of reality, and each one of these fits in individual situations that we face at different times in our lives. One of the main one is the last one. What you perceive about yourself and think about will become your reality. If you are always dwelling on the negative, if you're always dwelling on or focusing on how things can go wrong, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to be gravitating towards that because that is what your focus is on. Conversely, if you are perceiving yourself as a success, if you think about success, if you think about a positive outcome, if you think about yes, if you think about forward momentum, where do you think you're going to be attracted to? Your mind is going to start looking at those opportunities and looking at those paths that are going to lead you to that success. So, number 6, perception is 90% of reality. Number 7, this is from Andrew Thomas from Skybell Technologies, Inc. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. Wow. That advice has served me phenomenally in my life. Andrew says, my father always reinforced the importance of effort and quality of work. Whether I was sweeping the back porch, playing sports, or working on a business, he'd always tell me that anything worth doing is worth doing right. It's great advice, and I still live by it today. It's like my sons, right, when I'd get them to start, like, let's say, mowing the lawn, right? I just do it right the first time, because if not, I'll go out there and say, okay, you missed this, that, and the other, and guess what? Now we have to go back and do it again, or not necessarily again. It seems like you're doing it again. It's just that you didn't do it right the first time. So I'd reinforce exactly that message. It's like, do it right the first time, so you don't have to go back and finish up, polish off what you did wrong, or fix what you did wrong. So anything worth doing is worth doing right. Number 7. Number 8, from Mary Ray from My Health Teams. Go hard or go home. Since college, my dad has said, remember, you can always come home. This served me in 2 ways. A challenge to strive so that I'd never need to come home, and by instilling a fearlessness in me, knowing that no matter what happened in life, what chances I took, I would always have the safety net of home. The advice to take chances was definitely the subtext in his words. I'm grateful. I think, honestly, what I get from that is that the relationship she had with her dad gave her the ability, and how she was raised by her dad and her mom, or whoever raised her, gave her the ability to see that subtext in the go hard or go home advice, right? She was able to see the subtext and see the duality of that message, right? Like she said, it served me in 2 ways. As a challenge to strive that I'd never need to come home, and by instilling a fearlessness in me, knowing that no matter what happened in life, what chances I took, I would always have the safety net of home. So that's 2 messages in one, and that had to come from her, right? Because it wasn't like, as far as it seems, she was given a detailed, this is what this means, It was like, go hard, go home, and she was able to derive that from that advice. So, great one. Number 8. Number 9, this one's interesting. To the moon, Alice, to the moon. From the Honeymooners, right? Ralph Cramden. My dad might have typically said these goofy words to kick off our family's weekly night out for Sunday dinner, but it spans way beyond those car rides. A successful businessman, my dad takes a to the moon approach to life, and he's always motivated us to do the same. What's it really mean? Life's not about limits or settling for just okay. It's about having faith and working hard to get to where we want to go, whether that's a dinner destination or a solid professional and personal grown-up life. Pops, this one's for you. You've inspired me to be the best version of myself. That's Jessica Cramp, the digital managing editor. So that's a great one too. And again, how she perceived that particular piece of advice is more telling than the piece of advice given, it seems to me. And last but not least, on the 10 lessons we learned from our dads in honor of Father's Day. This one's from Christopher Jones from the referlocal.com. It says, keep it simple, stupid. KISS. The single best piece of business advice I ever received from my father was to always keep it simple, stupid. KISS, KISS. I've used this advice in business and life to take action while others think too much. while others think too much and overcomplicate why they should or why they shouldn't do something. I would just take action. For me, it's about KISS. So doesn't that one, number 10, go all the way back to number 3? Just go for it. And number 1, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. It all ties together. So some great advice from dads in the lives of these young entrepreneurs, these leaders in the business at success.com. Let me review the 10 pieces of advice, the 10 lessons. Number 1, it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. Number 2, under promise, over deliver. Number 3, just go for it. Number 4, be compassionate. Number 5, where there is chaos, there is possibility. Number 6, perception is 90% of reality. Number 7, anything worth doing is worth doing right. Number 8, go hard or go home. Number 9, to the moon, Alice, to the moon. And number 10, keep it simple, stupid. So there you go. Those are the 10 lessons learned from dads, and great stuff just in time for Father's Day. Wishing all of the dads out there a great weekend. Hope you get some, restful time or some enjoyable time. Hopefully it goes well. And for those dads, many of you, if you still have your dad, be sure to hug them extra close and wish them a happy Father's Day. And those of you like myself whose dads are no longer around, let's keep them in our prayers and thank them for what they did in our lives. Nobody's perfect. No human is perfect. There's only been one perfect human being, and as far as I'm concerned, and we have to allow or have allowances for the humanity in our fathers. And if you are a father, remember you are human too. So don't you have to be able to forgive yourself if you mess up. You have to be able to overcome those challenges when you're like, man, I failed at doing that. What kind of dad am I, right? It's like you're a dad, but being a dad and showing love and being there for your children and propping them up and pushing them up and pulling them up and holding them when they need to be held is of absolute importance. So I wish you a very happy Father's Day. We'll do this again on Monday, hopefully at around the same time. So remember, till next time, knowledge is power, imagination is king, and intelligence your weapon. Read a good book today, enrich your mind, and above all, take action. Have yourself a fantastic day, fantastic weekend, a happy Father's Day, and until next time, we'll be talking.